Hey, Alan here from Photobat, as you probably know, because you're probably getting this through my email or been on my website or Facebook, something like that. And as you've seen, we're doing our biology book project again, which is raising funds for the Kids Cancer Project. And I was just thinking, because a lot of people don't know much about the Kids Cancer Project, so I thought I would get someone on to have a chat about it. So, who are you? And what are you doing in my computer?
Welcome, team. I'm Owen Finnegan, the CEO of the Kids Cancer Project. So, national charity that supports science and clinical trials and research into better treatments and cure. So, with a vision of hopefully 100% survival one day. So, this year celebrating our 30th anniversary, and
Oh, I
great
didn't know that.
to be sharing with you a little bit the Barkology community about what you've done and how your support will have an impact on childhood cancer.
Cool. Yeah, my background with the charity is a few years ago I was asked to do a couple of photos of some special families that had been gone through a hard time with cancer in their kids, and their stories were used in basically promoting the charity. And then from there, I'd always wanted to do something to help out the charity, but then that COVID thing kind of got in the way. And then last year we were kind of coming out of it, so I just jumped in and thought I've always wanted to photograph kids and dogs and do something like that, and tell stories, and that's where the Barkology book came from. And of course, with kids, connecting with a kids cancer charity, especially one that's, I've got a science background too. Like I've got a honors degree in scientific and medical photography. I did a placement, two placements at the Royal Melbourne Hospital when I was at uni. So I've got a little bit of a sciencey background, which no one really knows about because I don't really talk about it. So that's what drew me to you guys. So tell me a little bit more about what it is you do with the funds and all that kind of stuff, because it's not as if you're not really just handing it out to general people, are you?
No, we're not. We do support some families. We supported Sammy and her family on heading overseas for a clinical trial. So predominantly we support researchers across Australia. So this year we're funding 45 science projects across Australia. So that's across 26 sort of research institutes, universities, and hospitals, and have programs in every state in Australia. So look at really bold, innovative science. Almost, you know, where we would say that we're venture capitalists of the science world. We give young, not necessarily young, but bold and innovative scientists an opportunity to test their novel therapies and treatments. And many of our scientists have been really successful in then getting further funding and more funding from bigger agencies. So the Kids Cancer Project's a bit of a smaller charity. There's no prevention of childhood cancer, so you probably haven't seen advertising campaigns for us or seen us in market. So it's more about raising money for childhood cancer research and then spending it in childhood cancer research. So those projects are a mixture of early discovery science, some preclinical treatments, and trying to get into clinical trials. About 14 of our 45 projects are clinical trials. And then we also have programs on what happens next. So obviously, with a vision of 100% survival, we're only at 86, so we've got a little bit to go to get to that 100%. But there's also what happens next. So what happens after kids are, treated and survive, which 86. So there's 3 kids diagnosed every day and 1,000 across Australia every year. So with 86% of those surviving, unfortunately, there's about 140 of them passing away, 150 or more. So we've got to make sure that we don't lose those, and we've got to have better treatment so there's less side effects for those that have survived. So this sort of fundraising and your support, Alan, has been amazing. Our charity sort of celebrates the fact that one person can make a difference. And for us, it was 30 years ago. A tourist coach driver was driving along Parramatta Road in Sydney, and 2 ball kids crossed the zebra crossing in front of him. He stopped his empty tourist coach, went in to find out what was wrong with the kids, found out that they had cancer, and for the last 30 years, he's been raising money to make a difference. Initially, he took these kids on day trips to the zoo and the circus, and after over 60 funerals in 2005, an oncologist told him, after 12 years of fundraising, that if he really wanted to make a difference, he should invest in science. And we celebrate that every one of those community donations. So over 1.5 million people have allowed the Kids Cancer Project to commit $60 million into childhood cancer research since 2005, and we know that every single little bit counts.
It's amazing. That's huge effort from, well, everything. So, is there any sort of, there's something that you guys have funded so far that you've been really excited and proud of? I know there's probably everything's pretty exciting and that you're still funding, but is there a standout something that's happened?
Yeah, there's a few big ones more recently. So most of our projects range between that $300,000 and $400,000 for 3 years. And in October, 2 of our projects got over $2.9 million worth of federal government funding.
Wow.
We've just had clinical trials that we've funded that have got almost 1.8 million and $2.2 million from the federal government through the Medical Research Future Fund. And one of the things about childhood cancer is it's different to adult cancers, so the same treatments won't work. So a lot of it is about treating, and cancer and the cancer world has changed significantly in the last 5 years with advances in genomics and immunology and all these things that have really come to the fore. So how you got treated 5 years ago is very different today, and there's a real buzz around personalized medicine. So it's moving away from the one size fits all to personalized medicine, which in Australia is through the Zero Childhood Cancer Project. So probably the one that I'm most proud of is that program, because we were the first charity to fund it in 2014. And over the last 3 years, it's been in sort of a clinical trial phase where they've been looking at children with a survival rate of less than 30%, so the lowest 30%. And that's about 250 kids that have had genomics testing and a panel of experts looking at what the best treatment is for them individually. So last year, the federal government and the Minderoo Foundation committed a further, I think, over $69 million to that project, which will now see every kid in Australia by the end of 2023 being on the personalised medicine. So it's not just the worst. It will be every kid. So we celebrate, it's now 2023. That was something we invested in over a decade ago, and now it's coming to fruition. So science isn't always that flashy and quick game. It's more of a long game, and that's something that an initial investment of $750,000 over 3 years saw the head of that program and 3 staff members come together be able to put a program a decade later in that we'll see the advances in childhood cancer for every child in Australia, which is amazing.
Cool. That's amazing. I guess that thing too, that long-term investment. Probably so researchers would just praise you guys because you're actually thinking about that way in the future rather than that sort of short-term kind of short-term gains kind of thing. So that's awesome.
Yeah, our research strategy has to look at that sort of thing. So, we're just about to launch our new 5-year strategy, and that's across, discovering new treatments, so discovery research, but also that clinical research, so preclinical and actual clinical trials around the survivorship and support space, but also building capacity, through biobanking, through samples, through young researchers. So we're looking forward to, in our 30th anniversary, announcing lots of funding, but it'll be more, long-term funding over the next 5 years. So we're committing in our 30th year, $30 million over the next 5 years. So it's taken us 18 years to get 60 million, and in the next 5 years we're going to get half of that again. So we've got ambitious goals, and and as I said, this is a charity that celebrates every single person and every single donation, because it all makes a difference.
Cool. Well, I look forward to the Photobat Biology community jumping together to raise a bit more. Like we've got our goals too of how much. Well, in the business, like my Photobat business, we've got goals how much we want to raise for you guys in the next 5 years. I think we set a goal of like $10,000 over a 5-year period. So we did just over 2,000 last year. So we're on the way.
Yeah, it's amazing effort, Alan, and we look forward to celebrating lots of these successes with your community, because it's their support of the Kids Cancer Project And we've had over 1.5 million people, Australians, donate to the Kids Cancer Project. So, and that's what's allowed us to invest, into bold, innovative science. We've got an international research advisory committee, so 4 specialists from Australia and 3 from America that sort of guide our investment in research. So we're funding the right things so we can have the biggest impact. So, lovely to be part of the Barkology team and have you as proud supporters of the Kids Cancer Project. So I'd encourage everyone to get on board, get your photos taken, get the kids out, get the dogs out, and get part of the 2023 campaign.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for taking time to have a chat, Owen. Well done on everything that you guys and your whole team are doing there. And yeah, look forward to following all the awesome things you'll be doing for years and years to come. So, because we'll be there next to you. So
beautiful. Cheers, Alan, and to all
thanks,
your
Owen.
community. Cheers. Thanks.
All right, bye.